Hello guys, welcome to this Python programming series. This series I'm gonna learn Python programming from the beginner level to the expert level, and then use the Python programming in web development. Of course, Python language can be used in web development, can be used in machine language, can be used in data analysis, but in this case we're gonna start with web development first. So in this series, I'm gonna teach you on how to use Python. We learn from the fundamentals, then the intermediate, then to final level. The first thing that we have to do here, we have to create a folder. So in this folder, that is right click, then click new, create a new folder here. Then we name it Python series. Python series. So one thing to note here when naming this folder, we don't give a space here. In this Python series, it's either you just write it as one or you can use a hyphen here. But in this case, I just want it to be like this. Then click enter. So when you open it, it's a new folder. Then here we can create a file in this folder. Let's call it Python classes. Call it Python classes. Let's just create a new one here. Call it Python Python classes. Click enter. So after doing that, now we can go to our IDE. IDE stands for integrated development. So this is where we write our code. In my case here, I've chosen VS Code. So if you don't have VS Code in your laptop, you will have to go to the web browser here. Then you can search it VS Code, download here. Click the first link, then it will direct you to where you download that VS Code. So we'll choose if you're using Windows, choose here. If you're using Linux, choose whatever you want there, then click on it. Because I've already downloaded, let's just go to the IDE, show you here, just search VS Code, then you open it. Then, so since we are starting a new program or a new project, you click file, then you go to file, then let me show you first. So when you download your VS Code for the first time, this is the first page that you're gonna see when you open the VS Code. So from this page here, we have new file, we have open file, and then open folder. So you have to click folder here. From there, you go to the desktop, and then you select that folder that you had created. You call it Python series, this one here. Then from there, double click it to open it. Then from that folder we go to the file, click on this file, make sure the name of the file is here, select it. As you can see, it's here, the name is here, the name is here. So from here we want to create now the, we call them modules. Actually, when you go to some areas in future of this project, you'll be able to understand what's a module. But here we can also, sometimes they call it a file, but we create after opening this folder from the folder that we open in the desktop, just you click here. As you can see, there is a brown line here. So this brown line here, after you see it, then you can go here and then click new file. From here we can create a file. So my first file, let me call it app.py. So if you can note here, there is this .py. .py means it's a Python file. So that's how we write it. So my file, I've called it app, but because it's a Python file, that's app.py. So I'm creating another file, maybe it's, let's call it OOP file. So if you're creating here, you have to write it as OOP.py. So that's my first file. Then you have to write we have to create another file here. So click here, then click on the new file, which is read readme.md. This is a file which is used for documenting our code or some of the important things that we're going to write about our code, about our program, such that if you have created a program and you have deployed it, and maybe you're not there to do any corrections, debugging, somebody else can come to this readme.md file and actually understand your code and can be able to do the necessary adjustments which are there. So let me create this readme.md file. But close this so we can have wider area. So then we have readme.md created. I've opened it. So here, just copy this. These are just my notes here because we are starting this series. You can be able to use these notes in further studies. So Python. So Python is a high-level language. It's OOP, meaning object-oriented programming. Actually, we have two categories. We have the procedural languages and OOP languages. In procedural languages, I think we have like C, whereby the code is written in a procedural way. And then in OOP is whereby we use to write the program such that this program mimics real world situations. As we'll be learning, we'll see how this one happens. So in this OOP, we have the Python, we have C++. C++ is an extension of C, whereby C is procedural, but the object-oriented part of C, they came up with the C++ language. And then we have Java, there's so many languages. So this Python is one of this OOP, object-oriented programming. Then another thing is interpreted. So that one means that the compilation of Python language is not manual. It simply executes the code base line by line. Yeah, we're going to see this as we write this, study this language in future classes. So what is the reason why you should learn Python? So Python is an extensive application and it can be used in web development. It's used in server scripting, data science, blockchain, and backend. So yeah, you can join me now as we delve in this journey of mastering Python from the fundamentals to its framework, then syntax and structure. So in this Python language, you have to observe indentation. So what do we mean by indentation? So when we're writing a new code block in Python, we have to observe indentation. Let's say we are writing some code here. Which code can I say? So let me borrow from here. Yeah. So from this example here, these are code block, and then we are using if statement. So in this program here, we are writing a program whereby, according to the age of a person, let's say we are having some event, and in this event, the people are supposed to enter their categories into different ages. Then, if the person is above 18, then you can be able to know that this person is an adult. Then, here, if the person is 18 years, then this person is of age, and then if the person is less than 18, then this person is an underage. So you can write a program that will be able to detect this. So from the first thing of that program, it will enable the user to enter his or her age. Then using that age, then it will process it. If that age is greater than 18, then the program will give an output. This person is young adult. If the age of the person is equals to 18, then the program will give this person is of age. And if the age is less than 18, then it will write print uh, this person is underage. So in indentation, you can see here in this the start of this code block, if age equals to 18, then the second line here, we have skipped 4 spaces. Let me just highlight. When you highlight and you start counting these dots, they are 4. So this is what we call by indentation. When you're writing a code block, this first line, then this second line here, you have to skip 4 spaces. So if you don't skip these 4 spaces, then the program will not be able to be executed. It will print out here errors. So this Python language, you have to observe indentation when you are writing it. Then the next thing here, yeah, observe indentation. That's used for spaces to identify a code block. Then no usage of semicolons. Like other languages like C, I think C++. Whenever you've written a line, there's a semicolon at the end. But here in Python, you don't have to use that unless in some special cases that we're going to see in future. Then comment in Python start with an hash. So when you want to write some extra information or you want to describe something, you have to write an hash in order to write that comment. And for those who don't know, the comment are not executed in the program. They're just there to enable somebody else who will read the code to understand. Then we have variables in Python. For every programming language, I think this is the thing that you need to learn variables. And then in this Python, so we're going to start with the variables. So I think, yeah, in our module here, first file, just maybe try it. Say these are variables. So from here, we have the first variable, which is the first variable here. So what is the definition of a variable? A variable is a storage reference for information. So a variable will receive data types from the value stored. Data type is a format of data, e.g. sum is a text and then 0 is a number. How to write a variable? So this is just the format of writing a variable. You have to start with the name of the variable and then the value. So in this case, a variable, we have said a variable is a storage reference, and then a variable takes in the data type. What is a data type? A data type, we have different forms of, that's the simplest way, there's different forms of data. We can have maybe a text like write some, this is a text. There's so many text here. Start by commenting this, we have some, like these are text. We can also have things like maybe we have cat. This is a format of text. Text here, so it as text. This is text, and then text, and then we can have a number. We can have three. We can have any number. So this can be called as, this is a number, but in data type you can call them integer, and then if it has a decimal we call it a float. But we see this as we go by in this part. So when we are writing a variable or we are declaring a variable, we have to start with the name of the variable, then this sign, and then value. So, and then one thing to note here, when writing the name of the variable, it should be a one word. You don't have to have spaces here, and then it should have a meaning. Like the example here, let me just give an example here. Declaring the first variable here with the same age. About the program that I showed you earlier, we're talking about age. So age, then this one is assigned, and then that's 25. So meaning that here the name of the variable is age, and then this is the assigned as 25. So this is how we write actually variables. And then you can give another example. We can maybe say name, and then this name say is sum. So one thing to note here, this age equals to 25, name equals to sum. And then from my previous explanation, I'd say that this is a number and this is text. But in variables, we're going to call them different names, which I'm going to show you. So when you're writing a text, declaring a variable, and that variable is in form of a text, you have to use these quotation marks. Let me call them quotation marks. There's single or double quotation mark. You can use any of them. Now we are declaring a variable which is in text format. So this is actually how we write variables. You have to set the name of the variable and then we assign that variable. And then another thing, it must have to make sense. Here we are talking about age. If your program is about age, then this name of the variable, it should make sense. So you should not be talking about age and then when it comes to this name, use a very different name. So that one will bring confusion in your program. So now we start these variables. The first variable we have is the string. So string is actually what I was calling a text. Text is just a layman language, but from programming, the first variable here we have is called a string. So in this string, we must enclose them in quotes, as I said, and an example is this. So let me just variables. So the first variable is the string. Okay, here. So if the first variable is a string, it should be enclosed in quotes. Then these are the example. The first example, I have name, yeah, equals to Samuel, and then this is the first integer. Then the second integer, sorry, this is the first variable. We call them string. The number two, we have an integer. Integers are actually numbers. Previously I called them numbers in a layman language, but in programming we call them integers. These are any numbers which are not decimal. It can be 25, it can be 30, it can be 1, it can be 0. So this is how we declare variables of the data type integer. Then number three, we have the float. Float, these are actually numbers which are decimals. So whenever you're declaring them, height equals to 5.9. So this is a float. Number four is a boolean. Boolean is whereby it's actually true or false. Whenever you're writing a program which involves this true or false, and then this is how we write that variable is student equals to true. So one thing to note here, this true, it should be capital letter. Then they are only to true or false. That's the boolean. Then the next one, I think this one integer we have done with it, we have done with the float, and then four is the boolean. The number five is the list collection. So list collection is the grouping of elements enclosed in a square bracket. So we have list variable equals to, let me just give you an example. So here is a list collection. List collection. So how do we write a list? Here, we have a list here. So hobbies, this is the name of the variable, and then here we assign it. Hobbies can be reading as a hobby, it can be swimming, it can be coding. So this is how we write a list collection in Python. So I have another example here. It's another example here. List collection. Yeah, there's another one here. Let me just copy this. Okay. A list variable. So the name of the list, then this sign, then this are square bracket. I think this is something to note. In a list variable, we use square bracket, and then inside here, the data types are different. In a list, we can mix the data types. We can use this as a string, this is an integer, this is a boolean. So in a list, you can, and a list can have the data of any data type here. And then something to note is the square bracket. Then after that, the next variable here is a set collection, which is a grouping of unique elements. So let me show you back. In a list, I said we can mix the data types, meaning that this group, the elements are not unique because we have mixed. This is the string, this is the integer. But in a set, right here, set here, this is a group of unique elements. Yeah, group of unique elements. So an example, you can have unique. An example is unique numbers, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you cannot hear the elements here are only of one data type. So that's a set. The difference between a set and a list is that in a list, the elements are of different data types, but in a set, the elements are unique, meaning that they belong to one data type. And then something to note, check this bracket. These are curl brackets. Here at least we have the square bracket, but here we have the curl brackets. So another example, let me just give you a second example of a list. It's here. Yeah, the set variable, the name of the variable, then assign this is 12, 1, 4. You can see we only have numbers here. These are integers. Then these are curly brackets. Those are set. Then we go to the next variable. Okay, we go to tuple collection. So in tuple, we have tuple collection. So in tuple collection, it's immutable. What is the meaning of immutable? Meaning that you cannot change. Once you have written a tuple, you cannot change the elements inside it. A list you can change. We said in a list, it does not have unique elements and you can change the elements inside them. In a set, it has unique elements. You can also change the elements inside. But in a tuple, you cannot change. The only difference between the tuple and the rest of this one, you cannot change the elements once you have declared them. But these other ones you can change. So an example here is we can take that one as hobbies tuple. You have reading, swimming, and coding. So here you can change. Another example here we have can take this. So yeah, these are tuple. You can see the brackets we're using here, these are the normal brackets. And then the elements here, they have any different data type, but it's only that it's immutable. You cannot change the elements inside it. Then the next variable here, we have the non-variable. 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 So it represents an absence of a value. Then we can have an example here. No value equals to none. So from there, we'll have, I think, dictionary. This is the last. This is the last variable we have here. So dictionary collection, this is a key and value. So unlike in a dictionary, you must have a key and then a value to make this to make this variable complete. We're just going to see an example. Like an example here. Then I'll write it properly. Dictionary variable. So here we have name, and then we have here a class which is, and then here we will have student ID. So in class, let's call it Malin. So let's put in student ID. So so in this variable, dictionary variable, it has to have a key and value pair. From these examples that I've given here, dictionary variable, and then you can see how it's being written. With the dictionary assigned to, and then this is the card bracket. Then inside it, you have to write the value, the key, and the value pair. The key here is the name. Name, the value pair is just and then class Marlene, student ID 16H98. So here you need to know there must be this comma at the end. Let's try removing one. If you remove one, you're just going to create an error here. So make sure when writing a dictionary, it must have a comma at the end. Class is Marlene, comma, and then so this dictionary is used to give a lot of information about an object. Let's say this we have an object, a student as an object, and then a student, that student has a name, that student is in a certain class, that student has a student ID. We can have also the grades for each subject. So whenever an object has a lot of data, then those data we're supposed to write them in a program. We use a dictionary variable. Then in terms of syntax, we have an indentation here and then a comma at the end. Then this is the key and then the value pair. I think that one is clear from there. Then we have rules for naming a variable. I'd say them, but I can just repeat them. Then a variable name should have meaning in reference to the value being stored. A variable name should not contain empty spaces. Instead, use an underscore. Then a variable is case sensitive. So meaning that say it must have a meaning. Like here, we are writing a variable about height. So the name here is height. Here, this variable is about unique number. So the name is unique number value there. Then these variables are case sensitive. If you write hobbies here like this, and then down here you create another variable. These are two different variables. The first variable here, the first letter is the small letter, and then the second variable here, the first letter is a capital letter. So these are two different variables. Whenever you're writing this, make sure you're very keen in writing them. So this one is different from this one. Just leave it like that. This is for explanation purposes. And then variables are case sensitive. Say that. And how to display the output. So whenever you have written a program and you want to see what is the output and to display it, the output on the terminal, you have to use print. Print, this specify what to print. So you have to use the word print, and then you have to specify actually what you want the program to print. Then that's print method. Then output will be displayed in the terminal. So if you're new to programming, this is our VS Code. Even to display the terminal here, let me show you. Come to these three dots and then click terminal. You go to the new terminal. So whenever you want to display anything here, let me just show you. Print, print, and then you have this hello. So whenever we want something to be printed or to be displayed, we write the word print, and then here we have to declare what to be printed. So let's just run this, then we see what it will display here. So as you can see, this is what just displayed here. Hello world that's displayed here. So whenever we want something to be displayed, this is the method to use. How to run a file. So after installing your VS Code, and of course installing Python as an extension, so how do you run this program? If you install Python as an extension, you will have this, I think this is an arrow, something like this on your VS Code. So you can use this one to run the file. If you click this one, it will just run the whole file and then give the output here on the terminal. You can use that. But also you can use the terminal. Just write Python, then the name of the file that you wanted to run. So yeah, this is Python. You can write Python, Python app.py. Just call the name Python and then app.py. App.py is the name of this file that you want it to be. So if you enter, you just run that file and give you the output here. Yeah. So how to take input via the terminal. Some of the programs that you are going to write, first thing we have to take the data from the user, and then that data is going to be processed by the program and then get an output. So whenever we want to take the data from the user, we use this input method. Use the input method. So input this brackets here, and then what you want the user to give you. Let me just give you an example. You can take this. We want the user to give us the name. The user to give us the name. So in this program, first thing is the user to give us the name, and then we take that name, and then here we print that name. We've already talked about when you want this one to be displayed here. So the next thing, we take this data that the user has given here, his or her name, and then print out hello. Then these cut brackets here, I used the placeholders. Let me just call them placeholders. They use a placeholder username. So it's gonna use the name that we had already inputted here. So it will give hello that name that we just entered. Let me just give you an example here. Let's clear this first. Clear. So let's run the program. So hello world. This is the output of this. The next thing, we want an input here, username. Then the input is enter your username. It's what we put here. You need to enter your username here. So let me enter my username. It's Sam. After that, I click enter. What's the next thing? Hello Sam. So it has taken the name that I entered here and then processed it, and then now the output, which is hello Sam. So that's how actually we take an input from the user. Now we can now just copy, just modify this. Then on the output, right here, and email is So the user will enter the name, the user will enter the email, and then now the program, the output will be hello, the name of the user, and the email. Yeah, so let's run it. So hello world, what is the name? And then email, just anything at, that's your email example. So it has given hello Sam. My email is what we had given there. It's a good example. Variable reassignment. So in variable reassignment, whereby we had declared a variable in the first place, and in that variable, we want it to give it a different element. So that's what we call variable reassignment. So username, not taking any data, and then print username. I think that one is clear for now. So in our next lesson, we are going to study about control flows and how they are used in programming. So that's it for today. Let me see what you think in the comment section. And if you have any question based on the comment section, I read it and answer.